The following lesson is linked to Learning Outcome 2, Reading and Viewing. It addresses the assessment standard that requires learners to demonstrate various reading and viewing strategies for comprehension and appreciation. Learners should be able to read or view according to purpose and task. Hi there, I'm Becky. Don't you think that if you knew what types of questions you could expect in a comprehension exercise, you would be better prepared to answer them? In this lesson, we're going to learn about certain words and certain types of questions that frequently pop up in comprehension exercises. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to identify question words, identify different types of comprehension questions. Here are some question words that I'm sure you're quite familiar with. Who, what, where, when, why, and how. These question words are often referred to as the 5 W's and an H because of the letters that they start with. Who, what, where, when, why, and how. You'll hear more about question words when you study news articles. Journalists use these words as a checklist in their articles to make sure that they cover the main facts of the event. But why are these words important for you? Well, using them is very helpful. If you want to check you have understood a passage, or if you are revising for a test, run through this list of question words and see if you can answer the questions they raise. If you're able to answer the questions, it is a good sign that you understand the information you are reading. Let's now look at each question word one by one. Who? This question will help you to work out who the main characters in the passage are. Answers to who questions are usually people's names. What? The word what directs you to focus on the events or circumstances of the passage. A question containing the word what asks for an answer that provides a fact or an example. Where? Where makes you think about the situation or context of events in the passage. An answer to the question with the word where in it normally requires you to answer with a place or setting. When? If the question asks you when something happened, you must provide a time. Even if it does not state the exact time, you can still give an idea of when something happened. For example, you could say something happened in the morning, or after he had eaten dinner, or in the last century. Why? Asking why will make you think about reasons to get you to understand the motivations for events or actions. If your question directly asks you why something happened, your answer should provide a reason or explanation. How? In answering questions about how something happened, you must provide an explanation, or perhaps a method for doing something. Now let's put these question words into action by looking at a sort of passage that could be set for a comprehension exercise. As we read through it, see if you can ask and answer questions that start with each one of the question words.
At the tender age of 2, Teddy Miranda appreciates nature in a way that would please any adventurer. Give him a pile of dirt and rocks and he's happy, says Jim, the toddler's dad. He's fascinated with the world outside, and because he's much closer to the ground, he notices much more than adults do.
Okay, were you able to ask and answer questions starting with each of the question words? Well, here is my list of questions. Yours may be slightly different, but they should start with each of the following words. Who is Teddy Miranda? What does he like to do? Where is he fascinated with? When did he appreciate nature? Why does he notice the ground more than adults? How can you make him happy? Now let's go through the questions and see if we can answer them. Who is Teddy Miranda? Well, he is a toddler who likes nature. What does he like to do? He likes to play with dirt and rocks. When did he appreciate nature? He appreciates nature at the tender age of 2. How can you make him happy? Well, you can simply make him happy by giving him a pile of dirt and rocks. Did you notice how by thinking of questions as we read the passage actively? I really had to concentrate and notice lots of details that might have otherwise slipped by. Then, by answering the questions, I was able to check I understood the passage. I'm sure that you'll find that if you do this when you read passages for comprehension exercises, you'll understand them better. Okay, now that we've asked ourselves the questions about a passage, let's think about the types of questions your teacher may set. As well as asking questions that start with the 5 W's and an H. There are different types of questions that can be asked in a comprehension passage. To make it easy to spot the different types of questions, we can split them into 5 categories. The first category of comprehension exercise questions that are asked are factual questions. These questions are there to check whether or not you have understood the information in the passage. In other words, you are being asked to prove that you have grasped the facts in the passage. The second type of question draws upon your knowledge of English language. These test whether or not you know certain general information related to English. For example, you could be asked to state what parts of speech a word is that is taken from a passage. You could be asked about the meanings of words in the passage. Or you could also be asked something about how the passage is punctuated. Some questions in comprehension exercises also test your general knowledge. For example, a person or place may be mentioned in the passage, and you may be asked who the person is or where the place is. The answers to these questions may not be in your passage, but your teacher will expect you to know what is being referred to from your general knowledge. To make sure that you aren't caught out by these questions, it is very important to read. Reading newspaper, magazines, and books will improve your general knowledge, which will make understanding any passage you're given easier. The next type of question that you may get in a comprehension exercise are the following. They are questions that require you to infer something. To infer means to read between the lines. So this type of question will require you to work out what is suggested but not actually stated. In other words, to answer inference questions, you will have to draw a conclusion from what is hinted at or suggested. The final type of question that you may get in a comprehension exercise is those that ask for your opinion. When you are asked a question that requires you to give your opinion on matter, you must be able to support what you say. To get marks for these answers, your opinion must be based on a good reason, and you always have to give reasons for your opinion. Now that we know what types of question you can expect, let's look at some examples.
Beware of silly label. Why is it that things that need warning labels don't have them, and those that don't need them do? Here are some wacky warning labels compiled by the Michigan Lawsuit Abuse Watch. A toilet brush warns, do not use for personal hygiene. An electric hand blender advises purchasers, never remove food from blades while the product is operating. A child scooter cautions, this product moves when used.
Okay, now that we have read the passage, here are some questions on it. Before you continue watching this lesson, you may want to try and answer these questions yourself. Number 1. In your own words, explain what you shouldn't do with a toilet brush, according to the warning label. Number 2. What kind of question is asked in the opening paragraph? Number 3. Why would you not want to remove food from the blades of a hand blender while it's operating? Number 4. Why do you think warning labels like these are included on products? Okay, let's go through the questions one by one and look at some answers. This is a factual question. You are being asked to take information from the passage and to put it into your own words. A good answer to this question would be, according to the warning label, you shouldn't use a toilet brush to clean your body. Did you notice that I answered in my own words and used a full sentence? This will help ensure I get full marks for this. The second question is a language question. To answer it, you need some knowledge of figures of speech. Here is my answer. The question is a rhetorical question. The author wants us to think about this issue, so he asks a question, but he doesn't expect us to answer it. To answer questions like these, you need to know your language techniques and you need to be able to apply them to the passages you are given. Because of this, it is well worth revising your English terminology before writing a comprehension test. Here is a third question. This question is an inference question. The answer isn't given in the passage, but you can work it out. Well, here is my answer. You would not want to remove food from the blades of a hand blender that was on, because the blades would still be moving and you would cut your hands. See? That was quite easy to work out, just by thinking about it. And once again, I have been careful to put the answer in a full sentence. Now let's look at the final question. Why do you think warning labels like these are included on products? This question asks me what I think, so it's an opinion question. I am tempted to say these warning labels are included because some people are really thick, but I know that I need to give a reason for my answer. So, here it is. Warning labels are often included because manufacturers of products don't want to take a chance that their product will hurt someone and they will get sued. There we go. I have given my thoughts about why labels are included and I back up with my reason that makes sense. Your answer may have been different to this, but as long as it is supported, you will get full marks for it. To see how good you are at answering questions, it is time for today's task. Read the following paragraph taken from Making Mud Pies. Then write down a question for each of the question words that you could ask on this paragraph. Finally, answer your questions. Here is the paragraph.
Scientists, philosophers, poets and parents have long believed in the beauty and the benefits of the outdoors. Never before, however, has the notion of playing outside seemed so in danger of losing its appeal.
That's all for our series on reading to comprehend. I hope that the skills you have developed in this series help you to improve your ability to read with understanding. But from me, Becky, goodbye.